What is your they were attractive until story? My old good friend was attractive until she confided in me that she thought she looked like a lizard. Now she straight up looks like a lizard to me. There's a possibility that she is a lizard and trying to send you a secret message about the coming lizard apocalypse because she is in love with you. She was attractive until I went to her house. I was seeing this girl for a couple of weeks and it seemed like we were hitting it off. She was witty, pretty, and seemed genuinely nice. On our third date, she invites me back to her place, and I agree because duh. We walk up her driveway, and as she's unlocking the door, she mentions that her house is a little messy, so I'm expecting a place that looks actually lived in. I grew up in a pretty messy house, so I tell her not to worry, I'm sure it's fine. She opens up the door, turns on the light, and what I see next will haunt me for the rest of my life. She was one of the worst hoarders I've ever seen. Wall-to-wall stacks of flattened cardboard boxes and other useless crap, with just a narrow pathway zigzagging through the living room. The walls looked like someone smeared a lasagna all over it several times and just let it dry. The carpet squished as I stepped inside. God only knows what that mystery liquid was. And the smell? Oh god, the smell. My sense of smell is usually pretty weak. I pretty much have to rub things in my nostrils to smell something. But I could smell her house. I could really smell it, and suddenly I was really glad I normally can't smell things. I'm fairly certain some poor animal had died somewhere in the house. I immediately turned around and noped out of there. During the post-skeletal hangout and cuddle, he ripped off one of his toenails and threw it on my bedroom floor, then refused to pick it up. You could almost say that was the last nail in the coffin. Cute girl at college orientation, 100% my type. Think what's the worst that could happen, so I start talking to her. Going good. Interesting to talk to her, right? I share my name and ask for hers. The response I get, I've been called many names. Violent, sociopath, psychopath, crazy, but my real name is Lily. Found out she was studying psychology too because she wanted to study how sociopaths, psychopaths and serial killers work because she considered herself a sociopath. I excused myself from talking to her very quickly and avoided her. My dong could not have gone any softer. Crazy chicks aren't hot. Crazy chicks are crazy. She might actually have been on the autism spectrum. Some Aspies think they're sociopaths because they can't read expressions like other people. The difference is once they figure out they hurt someone, they care about it. True sociopaths don't. Constantly accusing me of cheating, going through my stuff, and sleeping with someone as punishment because they just knew I'd already cheated. I've never cheated in a relationship. BTW, just went to schoolwork so she could sit on her butt all day. A lot of the time when someone accuses you of cheating, they are cheating themselves and just projecting that onto you. He took his shirt off, and he had a tattoo of a tarantula on his abdomen. I have severe arachnophobia. It was a bad night for both of us. He started talking to the teacher. I was about 2 feet away and his breath smelled like he hadn't brushed his teeth in a week. Started dating a guy and the first couple of dates were perfect. Third date he picks me up from my place. I was wearing a dress that was about 2 inches above knee length. 2 minutes later he comments that it would have been more decent if my dress was knee length and that he would have demanded that I go back and change it if we were deeper into the relationship. I say, you know what? Take me back home. His face lights up as he turns and starts driving back, thinking I will be changing the dress. As we arrive at my place, I leave the car and tell him he can keep himself company for the rest of the night. I left the passenger's door open until she slit her wrists, broke my window, and got dragged to the hospital in cuffs only to escape and run back to my place completely naked and barefoot. We were kind of already on a decline, but the exact moment every feeling in the relationship died was when he scratched his balls. Summer, hadn't showered recently enough and shoved his fingers in my face. This happened probably junior or senior year in high school. Anyways, I was with a few friends of mine at one of the local ice cream joints. Great place and amazing people there. I would almost always order the same sundae. It was a nice summer day, probably mid 70s and low humidity. We're waiting in line like normal, and these two girls are just kind of waiting behind us. I knew they were there but really weren't paying attention to them. One of them taps me on the back and asks, "Never been here before. Do you have any suggestions?" Boy, do I have suggestions. I thought. She was shorter and had brunette hair, cute face and gorgeous smile. She was also wearing this nice sundress that complimented her well. So I told her about how the place is great. You can't go wrong with anything. And I like this yada yada yada. We get to talking about other things, where she's from, her name which I can't remember, etc. And I'm making clear eye contact because 1, it's polite, and 2, I literally couldn't look away from her face. There was just something about her and her personality I really liked, and I was hoping maybe we could talk more and I could get her number or something. So we seemed to have hit it off. My friends were just kind of there, in the group but not really in the conversation. The other girl was quiet, but she talked some to my friends off and on. Things, however, started going downhill fast. We're still in line and there was sort of a break in conversation. She asks, "So, are you religious?" I'm kind of thrown off by all this. Well, I mean I grew up Catholic but haven't really been. Oh, have you ever considered a better religion for you? Me. What? She then pulls out from her leather purse these pamphlets that have been sticking out of them the entire time. She starts handing them out to me and my friends, and starts talking about Mormonism in a robot commercial-like manner. Also, it was then I noticed she only had one arm. It was kind of a surprise and I could tell she could see that in my face. Completely flabbergasted and embarrassed, I just awkwardly turned around and we ordered our ice cream and left. Disclaimer, I have nothing against amputees and the fact that she was missing an arm didn't make her any less attractive. It was just a very bizarre thing to happen. I literally talked to her for 5 minutes and didn't even realize she was missing an arm or was going to throw pamphlets at us. TLDR. Went to get ice cream. Talked to cute girl. 10/10 Mormonism 1 arm. This one Mormon that pursued me was doing flirt to convert. Dated a girl who was really cute. She was really fit from rock climbing. We had similar humor, and we really hit it off. She didn't believe in the moon landing and took her astrological fortunes or whatever as facts. She also came up to visit me at my university one weekend and spent the whole weekend partying without me. The relationship didn't last long. Just yesterday I saw a beautiful woman in the checkout line in front of me. She smiled at me as she put her items from her basket onto the conveyor belt. She bent down to lower her basket into the pile next to the candy items and I admired her smooth skin and nice legs. The baskets at this store are kinda crescent shaped and the 5 or 6 already there were neatly stacked concave side out and she put hers down convex side out and half sticking out of the pile. The fantasy ended abruptly right there, like as if she was a 3-year-old trying to push the trapezoid through the triangle hole in the toy. It would never work between us. She was nervous because you were watching and was too scared to fix it because you'd think she was too particular. You fricked up, maybe. I was in love with a senior girl as a junior in high school. She was this wispy lesbian with a shaggy rocker haircut who wore rainbow studded belts and never wore a bra. She had these faux intelligent philosophical thoughts and just general badassness. I thought she was so beautiful and so far above me. She was a typical pixie manic dream girl, and I had it bad. After high school she and my best friend ended up living together. So, I got to be around and hear far more about her, and every beautiful thing I saw crumbled away. She rambled about the government poisoning our food, vaccines bring a tool of bug pharma to control us, and all other forms of conspiracy. The lesbian rocker I fell for had become a straight, musical festival hippie. By the time she started an organic pot farm she was far from attractive in my eyes. Man, the way you wrote that I felt like I fell in love with this girl and was on that emotional roller coaster all the way to the end and now I'm sad. Attractive until the first time I met her in person. I'm older, and go out of my way to put current, not flattering pictures on my dating site profile. I don't want anyone to be shocked when they meet me. Some women do the opposite of this. They post their best few pictures from years ago. I've had 1 or 2 that I barely even recognized. Was smoking a cigarette outside a gas station when a pretty attractive girl walked up to me and asked if I was cool with hanging with her. She talked a bit much for me, but she seemed alright. After a little bit we decided to hop in my truck and ride around. I put on Christ Conscious by Joey Badass, a rapper. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed she was staring at me pretty hard with a stone cold expression on her face. I turn and say, is there a reason you're staring at me? She looks me dead in the eye and in a serious tone says this is NR music. Played some really heavy hardcore crap the rest of the ride to pee her off. Avoided her since. I noticed she constantly needed affirmation. Like I'd text her in the morning and she'd say crap like, oh, you just couldn't wait to talk to me. Every day, multiple times a day. Dated a guy for a couple of months. Attractive, clever, worked in the trades. I dumped him after ignoring a couple of red flags when he confessed to something so stupid I knew it was over regardless of our chemistry. The red flags were that I realized I didn't like him when he was drunk. Friendly teasing turned into aggressive, jealous mocking, and he would show up to dates having drank before with his work buddies without telling me. I would get in his car and not realize he shouldn't have been driving. The final OMG what am I doing here was when he was telling me about a road trip he had been on with his buddies recently and said he had been drinking while he was driving. And then at the location got so high on C and other drugs that he ended up waking the next morning in a complete stranger's basement with no recall of the night. Thanks but no thanks. Until I saw her on Snapchat drinking some beer that was poured down the small of a dude's back and filtered through the hair in his butt crack. I'd been thinking about hitting on her prior to that, but god dang did that change my mind in a hurry. Dang bro, that's freaking gnarly. He was attractive until he started talking about wiping out all the Muslims and how he couldn't wait for WW3. The sudden emergence of bloodthirstiness was rather unsettling. She lost a third of her body weight, became narcissistic, and started gaslighting me. The divorce will be finalized in 30-60 days. Here's hoping it's all uphill from here, dude. Until she started telling me what a real man would do, and what a real man does, when they are in a relationship with her. Apparently a real man is a replacement for her parents and is expected to pay her bills. Good thing you ran, dude. He remained pretty close to his ex whom was still in love with him. He was attractive until he started talking crap about his ex as a way to woo me. That's pretty much the opposite of wooing. Hope you told him that sort of thing wilts a ladabana. Couldn't tell me apart from my sister and defended it by saying you guys are pretty much the same person. Didn't say we looked the same. Said we were the same. Frick that, especially since it happened multiple times. I dated a guy for a couple years before he told me yeah I would have preferred your sister but she wasn't interested. Oh. I had a crush on a girl that worked in our building quite a bit. She seemed like a cool person, was super sweet, and it didn't hurt that she was really cute. One day when a coworker and I were discussing flat earthers and laughing about all their ridiculous logic, she came in and my coworker goes, so what do you think? You think the earth could be flat? I think we were both expecting some kind of witty or humorous I just remember being severely disappointed. I'm an animal lover and can't stand guys that are mean to animals or hate my cats. But I was on a date in a park with one guy in particular when a dog without an owner around came up to us. The dog was clearly lost and I wanted to take it back to its home, which based on the tag wasn't that far away. The guy said, not to be a dong, but that's not our problem. WTF. It doesn't take that much time or effort to help out a dog. I preferred the dog to the guy at that point and brought said dog back to his owner. Dog had broken out of his fenced backyard. Alternatively, when I first started seeing my current boyfriend, we were driving one day and he all of a sudden said, hey, we passed a turtle in the road back there. Do you mind if we turn around and move him into the grass? I've loved him ever since. We can judge the heart of a man by how he treats his animals. The turtle thing is adorable. I've forgiven my husband for more than one minor annoyance by reminding myself that he's the guy who I once found looking up humane fish euthanasia when his goldfish was clearly at the end of its life, because he was afraid it was suffering. I absolutely judge people on how they treat animals. until I found out she had a boyfriend. I feel like it's some sort of defense mechanism or something where my attraction to a girl shuts off if I find out she's taken. I say congrats, that's a completely reasonable thing that will help you avoid a ton of trouble in the future. They were attractive until they were petty about everything. I matched with a girl on Tinder. She looked kind of attractive, so we got to chatting. She also was on campus and started giving me a bunch of compliments about my looks and the things I do on campus. I sang and beatboxed in an a cappella group, so she talked about how talented I was, and right after that she told me I was the only good one in the group. Like, okay, the compliments were cheesy and everything and somewhat enjoyable, but do you really feel the need to crap talk the people I hang out with before we've actually met in person? I then ask my friends about this person, and they let me know she's an attention-seeking drama queen. So at that point I'm done with this girl. Checks username. I don't know if I believe you. Thought this guy from high school was the hottest person I had ever seen. I remembered him being super nice and having the most genuine smile. We'd interact a little on Twitter for the next like 4 years and I was crushing on him, I guess just virtually. Then, he posted a tweet and made fun of someone with autism. Haven't found him attractive at all since. He started a sentence with white people are just better than blacks because I saw how hair his back was. No offense to hairy backed people, but it reminded me of a dog. He told me he wanted me to have at least 7 of his kids. Tried to guilt trip me into sex and anal. Referred to one guy as his black friend, who was not black at all. Said he liked that I was half German because it shows he isn't racist. Went up into London to stay with some weird old guy he met the weekend before and then came back all proud about how he now does see. Didn't like that I had actual career ambitions as he would rather I stayed home and looked after the herd of children he wanted. You get the general idea. I was talking to a girl online for a while. Eventually the topic came around to movies. She informed me that she hates The Princess Bride. I lost all interest. Inconceivable. When my dad died, I felt lonely and went for the first girl that showed any amount of attraction in me. She was okay at first, but then someone mentioned her, she looks like Gollum. Then the blinders came off and I couldn't help but make that parallel. Also, she turned into a total B after our first night sleeping together, and her son was one of the aggressive autistics that like to break things. How he pulled out one of the trim panels of my car, I'll never know. That took me a lot of strength to pull out when I was replacing the window regulator. I get this a lot as an Asian Australian. From a few girls, they'll say they like that I don't conform to some stereotype. For example, I'm really surprised that you dress like this. Not many Asian guys do. The good old variation of you're good looking for a insert ethnicity here. She was attractive until my friend fricked her. He knew I liked her. We're no longer friends, and that's just one of the straws on the camel's back, not the one that broke it. She was attractive until I moved on. I had a huge crush on her and I kept asking her out and she kept saying yes but cancelling at the last minute. Ordinarily that means no, but these were legitimately things beyond either of our control. The first time I asked her out, we had the worst winter storm of our lifetimes and couldn't get out of our respective houses. The next time she had to testify at her parents' divorce hearing, etc. Well, she got back together with her ex. So I stopped asking her out and moved on like a normal human being. Fast forward 2 years, she's single again and we're together in a crowd of people and she just kind of blurts out, "You know I love you more than anything," and I was flattered, but also weirded out. Over the next year she'd ask me out a dozen or so times and invite me to spend the night with her on several occasions, and don't get me wrong, she was still beautiful, but she wasn't attractive to me. I'd moved on. The interest just wasn't there anymore. Had a great first date with a guy and as we're walking to our cars to leave he starts asking, begging, to hang out tomorrow. I say maybe instead of yes just because I'm annoyed at his begging. He texts me that day and really wants to hang out. I don't really want to but I say sure since I'm bored. We get to his place and it's a mess. It smells like weed. There's stuff all over the floor and dishes piled up in the sink. I want to leave ASAP but I don't want to be a bee about it. He makes me a drink and I quickly down it hoping it'll stop the awkwardness. He takes 2 huge rips off his weed wax thing and starts being this total jerk off. Any remaining attraction I had from the day before flew out the window. You're 25, dude. Grow up and clean up your crap. Taken them dabs. Until they showed up at a casual party. Proceeded to get wasted on a 12-pack of vodka cruisers. They were not a teenager. And then tried to give the owner's cat a bath. Cat was not impressed. Man, I'd be pretty happy if someone gave my cat a bath. Yeah, I guess I'm a little bit racist. It's just black people, right? I mean, I dated black guys, but that was just to pee my parents off. Better than the standard. I'm not racist, but bullied my friend for being open about their depression. The bully themselves was also depressed, so I guess it was deep-seated anger on their part. Talked crap behind our backs. Complained about how bad our group looked in pictures. We were in a hobby that had clothing as a secondary feature, and she was complaining about how she couldn't impress anyone with the pictures of us, because we were poor college students in jeans. Full stop. They were attractive until I busted my nut. If I had a nickel for how many times my friends have said this, I'd be a millionaire. The penis really has a mind of its own for some people. This is true. The throes of passion and sexual electricity can make anyone in 11/10. It all melts away with that sweet release, and you realize what you've done. My first girlfriend was really hot until she let her mustache grow in. Now, I'm not talking a Tom Selleck pre-mustache, but still, it was pretty thick for a girl. It turned me off so hard, my dong simply would not work for her anymore. It went on permanent strike. You're chunkier than your profile picture, but don't worry, I'll still frick you later. Well, you're a bit more of an butthole than your profile led me to believe, but don't worry, it's not like I want to frick you. I had a girlfriend who had threesomes with her cute best friend. I thought it would be fun and the friend was cute. I never proposed it and was completely grossed out by the friend when I learned she liked to eat raw hamburger. Bahahahaha. Thanks for the chuckle. She was really attractive until she talked crap about a special needs student in our biology lecture. Scary part is, she is a high school teacher right now. I really hope she has changed her views about people who are not neurotypical. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.